Good morning, my name is Ryan and today I'm comparing my Grant Stone B grades to my Parkhurst factory seconds. Which brand offers you the best value and which brand is going to work better with your feet? That is what we're going to discuss in this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please enjoy. Before we dive into the review, I want to go over a couple of things to expect in this video. First of all, it's morning time for me, so I have a cup of coffee. My analytics show that most of you guys and gals watch this in the evening time, so you might have a different drink with you. And I want to make it clear what I'm going to be doing in this review. I'm going to do a general comparison of the brands and what I think about them. And I'm especially going to do that when it comes to the last that they're made on and how they fit my feet and whose feet I think they're better for. But mostly in this video, I want to discuss the factory seconds or the B grades because what are you really getting with them? There isn't a lot online about these companies' factory seconds, their B grades. So we're going to dive in to see why I think my boots are these seconds and if it's really worth that money. So as I go through, it's going to jump back from the B grades, the factory seconds, and then a general overview of the boots and a general review of the boots. So I'm sorry it's going to be a little bit convoluted, but at the end, I have a boot that is what I feel the exact combination of these two boots. And hopefully when I bring that boot out at the end, you'll kind of see if it's a good option for you, either of these boots, and especially how they fit your feet. So let's turn the camera around to dive deep into these boots, and we're going to see, are they really worth it? Before I dive in, I want to apologize about two things. That is, first, the awkward camera angles I'm using. I'm trying different styles. I know some people have commented on the intro style that I've done on this video, looking like I'm in a prison. I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm not investing in a whole studio or anything like that. This is basically just doing this with some spare room that I have. So that being the case, sorry about that, and sorry about the gunshots. Like I've mentioned before, I live close to a gun range. It's beautiful weather today. Guys are out there and gals are shooting, so you're gonna hear pops a little bit. And I don't know if there's anything I can do about that. Even if I get a better microphone, I'm not sure. Let me know if you guys know what I can do to make that a little bit better, but I need to power through. And again, let's start from the bottom and go up with addressing these boots with my review of them and especially with how the B grades turned out. So firstly, I'll look at the Grant Stone boot. The Grant Stone bottom is exactly like their A grade boots. So it's perfect. There is nothing, I can't see any flaws in this boot. It looks perfect and it hasn't been worn on any rough surface, maybe on carpet, but it looks really great. The stitching is impeccable. This is a really important part of the boot and it's perfect. Now, what about the heel stack? Again, the heel stack is awesome. There's no complaints about the heel stack. It looks great. I'm not seeing anything different from my A grade Grant Stones, and it just, works really well. But what about Parkhurst? What can I say about them? The same exact thing. The bottoms of the shoes are absolutely perfect. And I think they look great. When it comes to the heel stack, it's the same thing. The heel stack looks fantastic. I don't see, oh man, I'm a little bit tight right now for space. So I'm sorry about that, but yeah, this looks amazing. So the heel stack, the sole stitching, A+. You're not getting any compromise, at least on the pairs of Parkhurst and Grant Stone B grades that I have. Now, what about when it comes to the welt? So you guys know I'm an Allen Edmonds guy, so the welt joint doesn't mean a lot to me. I've seen perfect welt joints from Allen Edmonds, and I've seen horrible welt joints, but you guys like that. You guys are into welt joints. So let me show you the difference. These are the worst ones of the two. So the welt joint on the Grant Stone B grade is pretty good. I mean, from an Allen Edmonds guy, I'm like, that's perfect. So I don't see any issue with this. And this welt joint is a little bit better than the Parkhurst welt joint. So that is, it's just an uglier joint. But to me, and this style of boot, that is totally fine. I have no problems with that welt joint. Can I get a little bit closer? I've got a unique filming setup right now with a light, trying to give you guys the best footage, but it's going to make it hard for me to get the shots that I want. So the welt joint is is a little bit worse than the Grandstone, but it's still amazing. From what I've seen on Bootlosophy's channel, who's reviewed many pairs of Parkhurst, you don't have to worry about that on their standard grade. And what I do like about Parkhurst, before we get too deep into this, on their website, when you're buying the factory seconds, they list out all the things that could be wrong with them. And they're really telling you, like, don't buy this boot if you want perfection. It's not going to be a perfect boot. So they give you a ton of information. And this boot, it kind of had me worried, actually, by reading all the information that they gave on the website about their seconds. But I was like super stoked with this boot. That's kind of a foreshadowing comment right there. Now, what about stitching? So stitching is super important to me on the welt and the way it's sanded, because that's going to increase the cost of a resole down the road if it's sanded too close to the stitching. So from what I see, the stitching on these boots is absolutely flawless. The welt on both of these boots is absolutely flawless. I couldn't be happier. I think they look amazing. My Grant Stones, I have more experience with them. It looks just like my first quality Grant Stones. With Parkhurst, it looks as good as Grant Stones first quality. The stitching looks amazing. There is nothing wrong with it. Absolutely perfect. So from what I've seen so far, and I'm not going to dive into the boots because you just have that veg tan insole and the little half sock liner on both. Everything inside the boot and underneath the boot is actually pretty much perfect, what you would get with an A-grade boot. So that's encouraging, because that's like what the chassis of the boots. If something's going to go wrong, it may go wrong there first, and it is absolutely flawless. So what I'm getting to is that basically the difference in grades is really going to come down to aesthetics. And when I look at both of these boots and the bottoms, the veg tan midsole is about the same exact. Split reverse welt is about the same exact. So apples to apple, these boots compare beautifully. They are both awesome, and I don't see one that's better in just a general view too. I'm not talking about B grades, just like if these were A grades, I don't think either one of these is really that different. I think it's more going to come down to the style. I do love this leather sole style. I wish Parkhurst would do that. I know they have done it in the past, but that's for another video. Okay, where we're going to see the first inclinations that these are factory seconds is going to come in the leather. Now, I'm not going to go into a review of these boots and their leather and how they compare, because these leathers are polar opposites. They couldn't be any more different. I mean, you have a veg tan leather from the Badalassi Carlo tannery, gorgeous leather, and you have a wax suede from CF Stead. So they're both what I would consider name brand premium leathers. And you're going to have to decide which leather you're going to want. This one wears like a cast, but it's going to patina like nothing else. And then this one is way softer, a little bit thinner, breaks in instantly almost. And it has this waxy layer on it that will, eventually erode away, and you'll get some more patina. So it's just totally different leathers. I don't want to get into that. That's for a different video also. But what you see in these boots is the seconds are going to start to show a little bit more. So let me first talk about the Grant Stone. Now, for me, I've looked over this leather. In my unboxing, I go into more of what I think will be the problem with these, or what was the problem. So my opinion has changed a little bit. The little things that you get, sorry guys, the little things are like these little flaws where maybe another speed hook kind of rubbed up against it. It's happened right here. There's a little bit of an indent. I actually would be okay with those on an A-grade boot, because the first time you wear the boot, that stuff's gonna go away. What I actually think made these a B-grade boot was the fact that they had been worn and tried on, and they used their little cloth that they give you, so there wasn't any scuffs on the sole, but definitely on the tongue there's wear from the back of the eyelets, and there was a little bit of creasing. So basically, what I see from Grant Stone with this boot is you're getting a near flawless boot, but that has been tried on before. That doesn't bother me at all. These boots were $235. That is an amazing deal. Check Grant Stones for their B grades. They don't come up often. They have a really fine-tuned factory, and I don't think they get a lot of returns, but check it often for your size. You're basically getting a first for the price of a second. And that's where it's going to show. It's going to show in the leather. Now for Parkhurst, Parkhurst does things a little bit differently. So if we talk about the brand, the Grant Stone was going to have a ton of leathers, a ton of choices, kind of always in stock, always ready to go. Well, Parkhurst does more batch manufacturing, where Andrew with Parkhurst, he picks a leather, picks a sole combination, and does a run of them. And then when he sells them, he, does something different. Now, I think he has a couple of stock boots that he keeps, but with this one, you're getting something that's going to be a little bit more unique. It may go away in a year once it's all sold. And the factory that are making these, I mean, are very good. They're very comparable factories, but I do notice that there's a lot more B grades coming from his batches. And so, they have some, some imperfections, but he is selling them at a reduced rate. I think these were $268. So that's amazing value. And in the leather, this is where you're going to see the B grades too. Now, I want to first mention the stitching on these boots. The part that really matters is perfect, and that's the same with the Grandstones. Like I said, I feel like these are an A grade leather. But with this Parkhurst boot, there was a little bit of this kind of, I don't know, like rubbing on the toe. You can see it there. And that's the main difference. Now, that doesn't bother me at all, but that might bother you guys. I feel like this waxy Commander leather looks great, and it's wearing away. That's going to wear away in a little bit anyway. So, I mean, that is a cosmetic thing. These had not been tried on when I first got them. You can see my unboxing video. I'll link it down below along with my Grandstone. But it's totally fine. It's great. I like it. But the leather does have that little bit of a mark. Everything else is completely perfect. And I'm, super happy with the purchase and super happy with the price. I think that, if you can afford it, just get the A grades and you're gonna have a perfect leather, and any patina you put on them is going to be your own. But for the B grade, there's like a little bit of maybe where the wax in it penetrate all the way or something. Again, wearing this boot a couple times, that's gonna totally just even out. So everything I've seen with both of these boots is that once you wear them, what makes them a B grade is going to be something that is going to just even out. I don't think they're going to sell you a boot with a major flaw that's going to have you needing a new boot in a year. It's going to fall apart on you. So a huge bonus there. Great boots. I'm over the moon with both of these B grades. I've got a video series coming out with these where I'm going to put a artificial patina on them. So please subscribe if you're into that. But let's just talk about fit and sizing for a second. So the Leo Last is what the Edward boot is made on, and it's what their diesel boot's made on. It's their most popular boot, probably their most popular last. The 602M is what the Parkhurst boot is made on. Again, this is a really popular last. His lasts have been more gradual as the changes have been made. But this is what I get from these lasts. I get and this is a broad comparison, but I'm a 13D on the Brannock, and I bought both of these in 12D. So what I get is about the same length. The heel in the Grandstone is a little bit wider. The heel in the Parkhurst is a little bit tighter, and it hugs my heel a little bit better. The Parkhurst, in my opinion, is more built like this. So it's tight at the bottom where the heel is, and it kind of splays out with a little bit wider at the ball, and then way more generous toe bump. So, oh man, I'm just causing all sorts of trouble. So you have a lot more space. The guy who likes this boot, who is going to like the fit of this boot, is going to be someone who likes their heel locked in or who doesn't have a big heel, and someone who wants a little bit more room in the ball of their foot and with their toes. Now the difference is with the Grandstone, you have a little bit wider of a heel, and then you have a more anatomically correct last, what I believe, and I'm going to show you a boot that I believe this is built on in just a minute. And this is going to be a little bit tighter, a little bit more form-fitting, and then you're not going to have as much room in the toes. So if I line up these boots toe-to-toe, you can see toe-to-toe, nice. You can see the difference. And that's just going to come down to a little bit more space in this one, a little bit tighter in the Grandstone. Both fit great. I have a personal preference toward the Grandstone style of fit, but I think the Parkhurst is actually going to be better for more people. Now, of course, you can size up in the Grandstone. This is a full size down for my Brannock, so if you need a little bit more, you can get that out of the size. But I think they both are just really great boots. I love it. The tight heel kind of reminds me of vintage Allen Edmonds. I've purchased like 5 or 6 pairs of vintage Allen Edmonds when they had a combination last and they had a thinner heel and a wider toe box. But they're both just awesome. They both fit great. I have a little bit more room here in the Parkhurst than I do in the Grandstone. It's a little bit sleeker, but let me now show you the boot I think is the best way to describe the fit of both of these shoes, and I'm gonna wrap up the video. What are my final thoughts, and what is the boot that is, I believe, a combination of these two boots? Right there, Alden, my Alden Indies. And why I say that is how I feel this boot comes together is the anatomical last of the Leo last is what the foot or the toe is like, and the tight, B width of the heel is just like the Parkhurst boot. So if you've ever had Aldens, if the heel is a little bit too tight for you and you can't wear them, you're gonna have to skip the Parkhurst. If the anatomically correct toe isn't the right shape for you, or it's not roomy enough, you're gonna have to skip Grant Stone. So I think really you can size either of these boots and make them work for you. They're awesome boots. Let me just talk about the value that you're getting. When you really compare these boots to an Alden boot, the value is incredible. It's likely these are better boots than the Alden. Now they don't have the name, they don't have the provenance of maybe Alden, but you're getting so much for the money. It doesn't really matter. You're going to be able to have these boots for longer than you're going to have the Aldens. Now with my take, if you have experience with Alden, you can kind of see which is the better boot for your foot. But all in all, these boots are incredible. I love them both. They both are going to stay in my rotation. This is my first time dealing with Parkhurst, and I'm really blown away by the quality. I like the little bit tighter fit of the Leo last in the toe. That's just me. I think most people would actually prefer a looser fit, the 302M, but that's just my opinion, and that's what I'm here to give. There's a lot of reviews about these boots online, and this is just one of the many, and hopefully when you're looking to buy these boots, you kind of go through a couple of them to know if they're a good value for you. So I would highly recommend both of these brands. They are amazing brands, and you can't go wrong with them. So I really appreciate you watching this video. If you enjoyed it at all, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.